Hey, Foot Clan, before we start today's show, we just want to remind you about jointhefoot.com, our thriving, growing fantasy football community. Get involved with other listeners of the show. Get involved with us. Get exclusive content from the fantasy footballers. Jointhefoot.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, October 13th. We are officially done with week number 5 of the NFL season.
Yeah, get out of here. Week 5.
Week 5. I remember you from last night. This is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. I'm Andy Holloway. I'm joined by Jason Moore.
Good, beautiful morning.
And Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Ooh.
Okay.
You're down by 3 and you've got 5 seconds left at the 1. What do you do?
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
And his patience is the kind that makes you get antsy. Like, he is so patient of a runner. He sits back there and he just waits. And he's so, he's quick enough to where he can do that. It's just impressive.
Well, he reads a book. He has a little tea. Takes a nap, and then he makes a jump cut and scores touchdowns.
Wakes up from that nap like, oh, I gotta go.
He was so patient, he didn't even start playing this year until what? Game number? All right. Welcome to the show. We have a good one for you today. We're going to be going through the news and notes. We're talking waiver wire. It's time.
It's
time
happening.
Time to make your move, people. This is when you can solidify your roster. You can also, there's two sides to that. You also damage the other teams if you get the right guys and they don't get them. So that'll be on today's show. We got the mailbag show tomorrow with Fred Jackson.
Yes.
Fred Jackson's coming on the show tomorrow. That's exciting. If you want to get a hold of the show, it's easy. Go to thefantasyfootballers.com. And you can follow us on Twitter at @theFFBallers. Find us on YouTube. Find us on jointhefoot.com, our fantasy community. Find us on Facebook. We're everywhere. Yeah. And we're doing this 5 days a week, all season long. And we will be recording shows all year long.
Yeah, that's right.
We do not take a break.
When the off season comes and all the other shows stop, no, you guys get to keep listening because there's a show that sticks around now.
Yeah.
It's us.
We will be there. So, very good show today. I got a quick question for you guys. And the question is, what quarterbacks lead the league in quarterback rating through 5 weeks?
It's got to be my Red Rocket.
Is this QBR or passer
This is
rating?
the Pro Football Focus official quarterback rating.
I'm gonna throw Andy Dalton out.
Okay, so
Is he
Dalton's
number
on the list.
He's on the list?
Well, I'm looking for top 3, so we'll give you a ding, 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 ding. He's one of the 3.
I'll go Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
He's been amazing.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton and...
Give me one more. Those are 2 correct answers.
I would go Aaron Rodgers. He threw 2 picks.
So number 1 is Brady, number 2 is Dalton, and number 3 is...
There's a couple guys. Tyrod Taylor?
No.
Cam Newton?
Nope.
Carson Palmer?
Yeah.
All right.
It was between Taylor and Palmer for me.
Carson Palmer. And it might have something to do with this, a little extra information for the listener out there. The number 1 wide receiver by a large margin on the wide receiver rating on ProFootballFocus.com is Larry Fitzgerald.
Ooh.
Larry. And then it's Cobb and Julian Edelman. So
Randall Cobb?
Correct. So you have a nice connection between, you got the Brady-Edelman stack there on the best 2. You got the Fitz-Palmer stack. And then you got the Red Rocket all by himself, just throwing the ball all over the field. Pretty impressive, though. So those 3 guys, Dalton, Palmer, Brady. Here's the real question, okay? Here's the meat. That was the information. Are they every week lock and load, don't stream them starts?
Yes.
Okay. Because, the goal... with getting a guy late is hopefully you don't have to change him out every week. We don't want to do the dance if we don't have to.
Right. And I do. Carson Palmer, the question for Carson Palmer will be after the bye week. As long as he keeps playing the way he is right now, and if you're a Carson Palmer owner, the game flow...
So frustrating.
The game flow has been so frustrating of guys going down at the 2 and then Chris Johnson or David Johnson, the new goal line back.
Man, 2 touchdowns. He could have had 3.
Is score touchdowns. He gets the ball, he gets a touchdown.
I know.
And so my thoughts now moving forward, David Johnson, now that it's hard to concrete say that he's the goal line back, but it looks like it. So he's, to me, is still a flex play weekly as a goal line back for a very high-powered offense, just hoping for a touchdown. But Carson Palmer's schedule, we've talked about it, through the bye week is fantastic for a quarterback.
Pittsburgh next week.
Yes.
And with Andy Dalton, you can see that the schedule is not going to matter as of right now because he just played Seattle.
So you just roll them out.
I just roll him out.
Okay, that is good to know. Hey, we want to thank everybody who has gone on to iTunes and left us a review. We try to read one of those at least every week, and so we're going to do that right now.
Review-A-Saurus Rex.
This one comes in from Wyeth Hooker. I'm just assuming that's their last name.
Well, I would assume that. What else?
It's a normal last name.
Normal last
No,
name.
totally normal.
I mean, he he didn't capitalize it.
Right. All right, Wyeth Hooker. Fantasy football is life, he says. Fantasy football is my life. And I trust these men with my fantasy football team. Therefore, I trust the footballers with my life.
Yes.
So while I should probably be asking myself some important life questions, I've been too busy eating double stuffed Oreos and withstanding all these victories with my 3-1 record thanks to the guys. Great show and keep it up. Well, thank you, Mr. Hooker.
Well, our goal is nearly complete. We want people to trust us with their lives. And hopefully he's 4-1 now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he totally might take all that back. Nah, 3-2, you're fine.
Yeah, 3-2
you're
is a
fine.
good record.
So thank you for that review. You can leave those on iTunes, and if you're listening on Stitcher or other places, please leave us a review there. If you enjoy the show, if you enjoy the content, it's a good way to say thanks for the show.
Help us out.
Yeah. So let's get into the news and notes.
News and notes from around the league.
All righty, let's start with a bit of news from Adam Schefter. He says, Big Ben really wants to play in week number 6. Do we expect him out there, boys?
I think it's too early for that injury. We've seen him have this injury before, and he missed more games. So I don't blame him for wanting to be out there. I watched Michael Vick as well, just like he did. So
kind of a funny news blurb.
Well,
I want to be out there.
No, I think
I don't want to be out there.
no. I think it's more related to he wants to play against Bruce Arians, his old coach.
Yeah, he can take another week off. No big deal for us Cardinal fans.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
Boy, how disappointed are you that Antonio Brown has been this relegated to? I mean,
It
you
sucks.
go 36 whatever it was straight games with the 5 and 50, and now you got 2 straight without it.
Yeah, because Michael Vick likes Darius Hayward-Bay.
Well, he liked Wheaton on a 72-yarder too.
Yeah,
That was a pretty impressive throw. All right, Peach
Cobbler.
Peach Cobbler said that Marshawn Lynch. All right, Pete Carroll said that Marshawn Lynch is expected to return to practice this week. Oh, that name is going to stick. I love it. So Marshawn's going to return to practice. I read another blurb this morning from Carroll from Cobbler saying that Rawls would definitely be involved. Lynch comes off the field quite a bit, so 8 to 10 carries is the expectation for Rawls. Are you buying all of that? I mean, is Lynch just kind of a back to an every week start this week? Are you scared because of the O-line?
Oh, I'm nervous about it, but if he comes back, you plug him in with full confidence.
Would you buy him low right now?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who I'd buy low. If Marshawn Lynch is back, I'm going to go look to maybe buy Rawls a little lower because I don't expect you look at the different injuries Marshawn's had already this year. I mean, he's always got the back problem. He's had the calf problem. He's had the hamstring problem. He's older and possibly breaking down the way everyone predicted last year. So if he comes back and plays every game for the rest of the season, I will be surprised.
I feel like somewhere Marshawn Lynch is in his laboratory and he's got like a little vial that's filling up with doubts. And so what you did just there just slowly raised his doubts, and now he will come out and destroy everybody.
Oof.
Because every time he's doubted, he does that. So it's hard for me not to have that in the back of my mind that he's just going to come out and be like the number one running back the rest of the season.
But did you know that Fred Jackson's behind him?
Oh, good point. He always empties those.
Yeah, he pours those vials out.
Jay Gruden said D-Jax and his practice reps will increase. Just a bit of news. I mean, you're just waiting for him to come back.
Yeah,
I think you roll him out there if you need to in a bye.
I don't think he plays this week.
Okay. John Harbaugh said he's hopeful to have Steve Smith Sr. back.
Senor.
You just roll him right back out in the lineup, don't you?
Yo,
If he's
absolutely.
in.
It's a great
I know.
matchup.
I've missed him. Justin Forsett has a good chance to play in Week 6 against San Francisco. So congratulations, Forsett owners. You might have avoided a big issue.
Well,
he might be limited now.
You have to add in. John Harbaugh is also the guy who kept lying to us about Brashad Perryman's injury.
Was he? I mean, I don't think he knows what's going on with Brashad Perryman.
Back when it happened,
I think he just keeps saying we drafted him, right? Like he's on our team.
He just
right?
kept saying like, oh no, he's just kind of got a strained.
Yeah, this news to me is good. I want to hear that because I hope Forsett's back. But I don't take this as news that
He's not
so
locked and
Forsett
loaded.
is going to be back. In fact, when we get to the waiver wire, we'll talk about Buck Allen and Lorenzo.
Some things to monitor this week. Ronnie Hillman tweaked his hamstring in the Sunday win. We didn't mention that.
C.J. Anderson time.
CJ might
time.
Yeah,
15 for 30.
All right, so Mike, tell me what you really think about that.
I just did 15 for 30
Okay.
from C.J. Anderson.
Free agent Pierre Thomas. He's going to work out with the Chiefs. He has worked out with the Texans before and turned down a veteran minimum deal. So he could end up as depth / kind of passing down role there in Kansas City. You guys are taking West over Knile Davis?
Yes, we'll get there.
Okay.
But yeah,
We are talking waivers, yeah. NFL.com's Ian Rappaport reports Marcus Colston has a separated shoulder. Could have structural damage.
I have the need. The
For
need
Snead.
for Snead.
Yeah. Snead or Cooks rest of the season?
Cooks.
Yeah, you still Cooks, but
Just
you
checking.
get Snead on your bench.
Did anything jump out in the game last night, guys?
That last play call.
Fantasy-wise?
Oh, fantasy-wise?
Antonio Gates, welcome back.
There you go.
Yeah. I would also say one other thing that stuck out to me was the Marcus Wheaton 72-yard touchdown. I watched that, and I went, Martavis Bryant needs to be on this field. That's his role.
The next play from scrimmage after that, they tried to go 75 to Darius Hayward-Bay, and I think he even had him. His arm is big.
Yep.
I mean, Vic can still sling it.
Well, he actually underthrew Hayward.
No, I
on that
know,
route.
but he hit
Yeah.
Wheaton on the one before, and he's going for these super long throws. So, yeah, you're right about that, Jason. All right, mailing and shipping are a routine part of running your business. We know that. Important to keep your operations going. And so if you're making constant trips to the post office, that's a routine you need to change. There is a much more convenient way, and that's Stamps.com, and that's what we use here at Foot Clan headquarters. They bring all of the services of the post office right to your desk. You can buy and print official U.S. postage using your own computer and printer. You can print postage for any letter, any package, any class of mail. Then just hand it to your mail carrier, and you're done. It's simple. You'll never waste valuable time going to the post office again. So you can focus on what really matters, growing your business. Right now, sign up for Stamps.com and use our promo code FOOTBALLERS for this special offer. 4-week trial, plus a $110 bonus offer, including postage and a digital scale. So don't wait. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Footballers. That's Stamps.com. Enter Footballers.
We'd also like to thank our other sponsor, SeatGeek. Look, Foot Clan, the NFL season has started, clearly, and SeatGeek is the place to get tickets to this week's game. Our listeners can use the promo code FOOTBALLERS in the SeatGeek app and get a $20 rebate off your first SeatGeek purchase. It takes less than a minute to download the app today. And SeatGeek, it does a ton of things that other ticketing sites don't do. First, SeatGeek pulls in ticket options from hundreds of online ticket sellers to create a one-stop shop for tickets. When you shop on SeatGeek, you're seeing virtually every ticket option available for the game. No need to go anywhere else. They have this great feature called Deal Score. It ranks every ticket on the market with a 1 to 100 value, plus the best deals on a color-coded interactive map. Makes finding the best deals extremely easy. And finally, SeatGeek's mobile app makes the ticket buying process seamless and easy. No more typing squiggly letters you can't read in a box of ridiculousness. On SeatGeek, you go to the store with your credit card once, you find the ticket you want to buy, boom, 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 2 quick taps, you're going to a sweet NFL game.
Bing, bang, boom.
So this is what we need the Foot Clan to do. Download the free SeatGeek app today Enter promo code FOOTBALLERS in the app. Then SeatGeek will send you $20 once you made your first SeatGeek purchase. Every ticket purchased on SeatGeek is backed by a 100% guarantee. Download the free SeatGeek app today and enter promo code FOOTBALLERS. We got an Arizona Cardinals game on a Thursday night coming up here against the Vikings. How do you think I'm going to buy my tickets?
I bet you use the SeatGeek app.
SeatGeek.
That's right.
Ba-boom.
All right, let's talk about – I hope they take that as their official say. Ba-boom. All right, let's go ahead and talk waivers, guys.
Put me in, coach.
All right, we're going to go through the best waiver wire pickups this week, and I'm going to give you guys some opportunities to tell me, would you sign these guys and drop blank? So I'll give you some options of guys that might be on your roster. Would you sign these guys and drop somebody else? So Willie Snead, we're going wide receivers first, okay? So we talked about Willie Snead. Big game, right? Mm-hmm. I believe he was, 6 for 147, something like that?
Yeah, I think 146, yes.
Okay, so he's been on the field for about 70+% of the snaps.
This last game.
His snap count has gone up every single week, and this last week he played over 70% of the snaps, which is exactly what you want.
Do you want to know who had 55% of their snaps last week?
55!
Brandon Cooks.
Nope.
All right, who?
Colston, who is injured. So just all the more, targets to
So we're buying
very
into
few,
Snead.
but a couple of targets to go elsewhere.
Okay, who would you drop Marvin Jones to sign Willie Snead?
Yes.
Yeah, I would.
You would, huh?
Yeah.
Would you drop Ty Montgomery?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. What about Torrey Smith?
Yes.
Okay. So Snead is a guy that is probably at the top of the list right now if he's sitting on your waiver wire.
He is my top wide receiver I had this week.
Now another becoming consistent value is Allen Hurns.
Hopefully he picked him up 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, actually we got an email. I don't know if I can pull it up right now, but we got an email that was specifically just thanking us for the Allen Hurns pick because he picked him up 2 weeks ago, played him the last 2 weeks, and won matchups because of Allen Hurns. So if he's still sitting out there, if all the hype is just Allen Robinson, there's another Allen in town.
Yeah.
And his name is Hurns.
If you're an Allen wide receiver for Jacksonville, you're all right. And that's the rule.
Yeah, Allen Hurns, Allen Robinson, Tim Allen. Let's go ahead and talk Allen Hurns then. Would you let's say you had Hurns and Robinson sitting on your roster together. You're still starting Robinson, right?
Week in, week out, I'm starting Robinson.
Is that a just target-based decision?
No, I think it's a target and talent-based decision. So the upside of Hurns is that he's not going to face their number one guy, right? But that's what you get on every wide receiver, too, for every team. The reason the number one guy is guarding Allen Robinson is because he's a little bit more physically talented. He's a more gifted wide receiver, but he's also going to get the most targets. So it's both of those reasons. I really like both guys. I'd be willing to start both guys, but if I've got both, I'm only going to start Allen Robinson.
And it might be still fantasy mirage, but Blake Bortles is putting up spectacular fantasy numbers. I'm not buying in completely that he had turned around as a real life quarterback, but the production is there right now.
Would you rather start Allen Hurns week to week or John Brown week to week?
Ooh, that's tough.
I would rather start John
Brown. Better offense.
What about Kendall Wright or Allen Hurns?
Hurns.
Yeah, I would go Hurns right now.
Really? Okay.
Right now, yeah.
What about Brandon Cooks or Allen Hurns?
Oh,
Cooks.
You got man. You
I'm
got to go.
I'm giving you the tough ones. It's great because I say them, I don't have to answer them.
Yeah, I don't blame you if you want to start Hurns over Cooks.
All right, let me give you some other wide receiver names to pay attention to: Jamison Crowder, Josh Huff, Dwayne Harris, Brandon Lafell, and Marvin Jones, which I mentioned earlier. Those are some guys that are not owned in a majority of leagues that are available.
And these are injury kind of thing. With Josh Huff, we know that Aguilar is hurt. We don't know if he's going to miss time. Dwayne Harris, ODB, and Ruben Randall had hamstrings, so Dwayne Harris would be a good add.
And we should also have Leonard Hankerson on here. Yeah. If Julio on Thursday isn't going to go, then Hankerson seems like a mighty fine play. This is a lot of bye weeks this week. So that to me is a really good option. If you've got guys on bye, try to pick him up tomorrow. We'll know before Thursday or we'll probably know on Thursday whether or
Right.
not he's going to sit. But if Julio sits, I think Hankerson is a mighty fine play.
Mighty.
Another guy on this list that I think is important to talk about, you mentioned it, but Dwayne Harris with ODB being out, that's a Monday Night Football game.
Well, we don't know if he's out. We just
No. I guess that's true. I'm saying with the question mark of his hamstring, if he practices and re-aggravates it or anything like that, he's a Monday night game, and that's always that. There's that pro and con, right? He's got a day of extra rest, but he's also after you can make lineup decisions because you don't know until Monday whether or not. So if you've got him, Harris is not a bad ad for your team.
Yeah, I mean, Harris kind of represents maybe what you saw this past week with Marquise Wilson in Chicago, where opportunity is there if guys are sitting. He's not I'd rather sign Willie Snead because you have a year-long value to a guy. Same with Jamison Crowder. Like, I like the talent. I like how he's being used in a PPR format. But when Deshaun Jackson comes back and snap counts go down for Crowder, it's hard. It's going to be hard to rely on a guy like that. And same, Huff. Huff was the 4th or 5th most targeted wide receiver this past week. I think that is not. He's not somebody I'm openly endorsing, believe it or not. So.
These guys are more like 1 week.
Yep.
If you have a problem, and
they're the ones that are going to be signed in a lot of leagues, regardless, just because of good big weeks.
And Brandon Lafell, he's coming back from the PUP. All news is that he is on schedule, so I believe he's eligible to play in Week 7.
8.
Week
And
8.
they really
which
want
is why
him,
I would
too.
I would wait one more week. I'm
Okay.
pretty positive it's 8 because I've got him on one of my main leagues.
I'm gonna look that up. But Lafell, I mean, the Patriots are destroying. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but the New England Patriots are scoring a lot of points, and nobody has really stepped up to take the role that Lafell played last year.
They have tried everybody.
Nobody's hitting that deep threat. So Lafell could be he could come back in and be a great option right away.
He was really good when last year.
You
Yes.
see here they were working out for their emergency list?
The Patriots?
Yeah.
Who are they not is the question.
Hakeem Nicks.
Oh,
Yeah, of course.
All right, running backs. Let's talk running backs. The big story is Jamal Charles, the big injury. Sorry for him. He's a great player. He's a great ambassador of the game. He's been a consistent. If he comes back from this and still plays well, I'm just going to be all the more endeared to Mr. Jamal Charles. So, Charcandrick, West, Knile Davis. We talked about it earlier. West is the guy you want. However, let's say you had, $80 left out of your $100 fab budget. How would you break that up across these guys? Would you want to try to sign them both? Would you just try to spend money on West?
In a fab system, you've got to pay attention to the amounts of money your other teammates have. You need to especially look at the Jamal Charles owner and see how much does he have, because I would imagine the Jamal Charles owner is going to be willing to put a lot of money in there because we know they have a need at running back. I would put what I would do in a league. I'm not wanting necessarily both of the guys on my team, but I would put a hefty bid on Charcandrick West, and then I would put a mild bid on, if I can get Knile Davis for cheap, put a $5 bid out there.
For the lottery ticket.
And if nobody grabs him, fine. But I don't want to spend a lot on a guy that is just you hope that everybody's getting it wrong.
Right.
Okay.
And, yeah, I agree. I've cooled a bit on Charcandrick, just of the unknown if he's going to be the guy in losing. I mean,
A big part
losing
of your
a
fab
big part of
budget.
your fab on this. Although if your situation is you really need a running back, then I'm good with being aggressive to get West on your team.
So let's say you really need a running back.
But would you want to hedge? I mean, if you sign them both, you're hedging. Because then
If
you're
you-
probably going to get the guy that breaks out.
Yeah, if you have the space on your bench, I guess. But
Yeah, you're right.
So what do you've got $80. You're in desperate need. You have to have a running back if you want to make the playoffs.
if you're talking 45, around maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I thought it would be more.
Okay. No, I think if he was the guaranteed piece, I would have been like into 60 range. But because he's not guaranteed, it's tough to not be able to roll that out for the next injury or something like that.
Brandon Lafell eligible to return in Week 7.
Oh, well then great. Pick
So
him up.
add
this week.
him.
Yeah, I agree. And he's been a great stash in your O spot, and they're high-fiving. All right, and definitely grab Marvin Jones. He had another okay week, targeted a little bit more. He's a big play guy too. That's a running back. We're on running back still. Okay, DMC. We talked about the news that broke on Sunday morning where DMC is going to be the new passing down back?
He sure was.
9 receptions.
But I think all 9 came on the last drive.
Well,
not all of them, but a lot of them.
So they come back from the bye. Who's the quarterback?
Castle.
Oh, yeah. Hooray.
And it makes a difference because
Castle will try to drive the ball downfield a little bit more.
Exactly. Castle will be better for a Terrence West. If Brandon Whedon comes back, then DMC's looking pretty good. I would say DMC is a hard guy to have right now because they're on bye. So to stash a guy like DMC for a hopeful upside is really tough.
There are so many more guys that I would rather have than Darren McFadden.
Yeah.
That's fine. He's a PPR exclusive for me.
If you've got Joseph Randle, I think that there's more value to having DMC there.
Really? I don't know if I want to clog my bench with 2 Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Mike on that one. I thought about it for a second, but I mean, it's like I just think that they cap each other's upside, and then if one of them ever went down, it's not going to be the other guy that benefits.
And we all know what's happening after
great.
the bye week.
Great.
We all know.
The Christine Michael.
It's come on. Jason Garrett, I need you to come through for me with this one, buddy.
You guys, you drove me crazy yesterday.
We were watching Christine Michael highlights in here.
It's like 1 carry, and I'm getting this talk around the studio that says like, oh, he looks so good. He looked so good on that 1 carry.
Oh, yeah. 6 yards.
He looked great.
Oh, you guys are insufferable. And I put you both in the same
Darren
category.
McFadden or Christian Michael on your bench?
Darren McFadden.
For sure,
Of
without a
course.
doubt, Darren McFadden.
Yeah,
Well,
because, Christian Michael has 2 carries on the year. That'd be one of the reasons. One of the
Darren
top
McFadden.
20. I have like 25 reasons why I hate Christian Michael.
With Lance Dunbar out, the reason both of us went with the Cowboys running back last week was because of that injury. Someone's going to grab the passing down role, and it looks to be McFadden. So he does have value.
The most productive thing that Christian Michael's done all year is waste time on our show.
Fair.
Yeah, okay. All right. Fair. Duke Johnson, Buck Allen, Charles Sims, Theo Riddick. I know who I like the most from that list.
Duke Johnson.
Yes. I know who I like the second most from that list.
You're going to say Theo Riddick.
I am.
Yep.
Theo Riddick has been extremely trustworthy, especially in the passing game there. They don't give him a lot of
I'd say
handoffs.
exclusively in the
Yeah,
passing
that's
game.
fair. That's fair. But, I mean, at some point in time, if Abdullah gets the doghouse and, I guess Drake Bell's supposed to be back this week. Is that the report?
Sure.
You guys don't. Drake's on everybody's waiver wire. You would not sign Drake Bell?
No, I would not.
Huh, I thought about it.
Okay.
I did.
I would take West, Davis, Darren McFadden, Duke Johnson, Buck Allen, Charles Sims, Theo Riddick. I'd take all of these guys.
All right,
over
so
Drake
let's
Bell.
talk about Buck Allen. If Forset's limited and Taliaferro missed last week, I don't know if he's back or not. Do we like Buck Allen? I mean, he's a rookie. He's got upside. He has the opportunity potentially to come in and do more than just spell Forset. Would you take a flyer on him if you don't have to pay much or if you don't have to spend much?
Yeah, I think you're not going to have to pay much. If you're the Forsett owner, it's worth having him as the backup. I would go Buck Allen. But this is a week where you really need to watch not what's being said, but who's practicing. Are they practicing in full? Are they limited in practice? And adjust accordingly, because one of these 3 guys I think is going to have a decent week this week, but I could see it being any of these 3 guys, and it's only because of injury. It's whoever's going to be playing, and 2 of the 3 are on the waiver, so, grab them.
All right, so tight ends. Tell me who you're excited about at the tight end position right now. Who would you sign?
There is no one.
I
other.
use the word excited very limited,
Gary Barnidge.
Gary Barnidge. Hey, Gary.
So he keeps it going.
I don't know. I don't know if he keeps it going, but he's got.
You're the
multiple-
expert, Mike. You're the Barnidge expert. You should know. You should have insights. You should have sources connected to the Browns facility, to Barnidge's family, to his history, his high school
Hold on,
coaches.
let me put in a text message to Gary Barnidge.
You can direct
Beep,
contact.
boop, beep, boop, beep, boop,
Okay.
boop.
Are you going to keep it up, Gary? That's what you need to ask.
You know what he just said? I don't know.
He said the same thing? Okay, so obviously this offense, we talked about McCown. McCown's throwing the ball like a crazy person, 75% of the time.
Yeah, but the matchup this week is Denver, and so that's tougher.
Okay.
But Gary Barnidge is still a guy you need to add.
Yeah, he's only owned in 37% of ESPN leagues, so definitely easy to pick him up.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about Derek Carrier, a guy we mentioned last week.
Yeah, if
Jordan Reed's still out?
Yeah, if Jordan Reed's going to miss time, Kirk Cousins loves the throwing to the tight end. Carrier scored, and he's a guy who he's worth putting on the bench. I don't know if I'm going to play him right away, but he's a guy that if in Reed's history says he'll probably be out for a while, and if that's the case, then go with Carrier.
All right. Anybody else want to talk about at tight end that should be relevant for waiver situations right now? You're not worried about Charles Clay because he had a bad game,
right? And he's still pretty available. And the last name I have on here is Sefarian Jenkins, who should be back soon from his injury. So if you're one of those people who likes to be ready a couple weeks in advance, and Sefarian Jenkins had a great game to start the season. Didn't really duplicate that in the second game, but he's just one of those guys. If you have a deep bench and you want to hold on to him, that's fine with me.
If you need to snag a defense off your waiver wire, which is always a great thing to do on waiver day because you kind of sometimes you beat everyone else to the punch because they kind of wait in the week to see who they're going to start at defense or they're not paying attention to it. But the Texans do face the Jaguars. Bortles will play. Bortles will be able to play through that shoulder injury. The Texans' D has been pretty disappointing, but they do have some big playability with Watt and Clowney. The Jets are facing Washington.
Yeah.
This seems like a very safe defensive play. The Jets have been very good, and Washington kind of feels capped on the offensive side of the ball, so that's a good play.
You've got the Jets and the Panthers that are coming off of bye weeks, which means even though they've been great, they might be on waivers because people have to drop them. Look for those two guys because I would love to have either one of those teams on my roster.
Also, the Packers are facing the Chargers. The Packers have been both a big play defense and a very solid fantasy performer. Do we like them against San Diego?
I don't see why not. At home, they have been dominant.
And the Bengals travel to Buffalo, but the Bengals defense has been pretty good, and Buffalo's offense has kind of struggled the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
Obviously, pay attention. Watkins could be back. Williams could be back. That could change the offense.
It's going to make a big difference. We've seen the Bills be very productive offensively, and we saw them struggle a lot last week, and I think it's just a matter of they're losing all their tools for offense. So if Watkins is back, if Carlos Williams is back, if Clay's on the field, then I would still play the Bengals. But if they're off, I would love the Bengals. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a few minutes and get into our streaming quarterback section. We like to highlight guys that we feel like you can snag off of the waiver wire tomorrow and essentially throw right into your lineup. Last week we had Josh McCown, who ended up the number 1 quarterback.
Woohoo!
Toot your horn, Mike.
I did.
That was your toot?
Yeah.
All right, and so let's go ahead and get into that.
Full stream ahead.
All right, give it to me, Mike. Who's your fantasy quarterback stream of the week?
So this week, I am going back to Sammy Biscuits.
Oh, my goodness. He's been is that 3 straight weeks we've streamed him?
Because everyone keeps dropping him, and the Philly offense is coming on. Last week, Sammy Biscuits, 32 for 333 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did have the 2 picks, which kind of sucks. But looking at the matchup last week, Colin Kaepernick took on the Giants and went 23 for 262 with 2 touchdowns. And the part that I like the most for Sam Bradford is the Eagles' rushing attack. Over 170 yards last week. If they get that on track with DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews and the crew, then the passing game is really going to open up. Sam Bradford now has multiple weeks to get firmly entrenched in the system, to get used to playing. We have to remember, he's coming off of missing basically 2 years of football. So the time it takes for him to acclimate shouldn't be unexpected, but it looks like they're getting it going, and just the whole entire offense is getting it going.
Not that I especially like end zone touchdowns, but in one,
Wait,
he had
I was doing the same thing.
Did I say end zone touchdowns?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, end zone interceptions from Sammy Biscuits. He threw 2 of them, but that means they were driving the field. They scored 38 points. He still threw 2 end zone touchdowns. He still put up a giant fantasy game. That's not necessarily the worst sign in the world to me because you're not going to, you mitigate those mistakes in the red zone. You got maybe another touchdown on his, resume for the week. So I just was going to highlight the fact that offense is moving, like you said. I'm going to go with Colin Kaepernick. Now, Oof. Colin Kaepernick is you have to be a premium selector of quarterbacks here because don't choose the wrong week with him. But he had a good week. Mike just mentioned it, 262 and 2 against the Giants. He looked more comfortable, and Baltimore cures a lot of ills for defenses.
Baltimore.
Okay,
And Baltimore lost another DB.
yeah, and Josh McCown just put up 400 and something yards on them, and I just think that this is one of the weeks you can start Kaepernick with actually a good assurance of his floor.
Yeah.
Because he's going to run the ball, and as long as he can get one touchdown against Baltimore's defense, which is like I think they almost credit you one at the beginning of the game automatically. I think Kaepernick is an okay stream. Someone might look at you sideways, but it'll be all right.
That tastes like that tastes really bad. I almost made him my pick, and I couldn't do it just because of the flavor in my mouth. But I see all of the reasons.
And I see that you said, well, Colin Kaepernick, he tastes kind of bad, but I'm going to go even further into the garbage.
Yes, I dove deeper.
It doesn't get deeper.
No, then my guy.
This is deeper than McCown last week.
Hey, let me just tell you something. If you want him, my guy is available.
In how many leagues?
Well, he is owned in 1.1% of leagues on ESPN. So
wow.
He is available. And if he's not on your team, he's not
ready
on
for
anybody's
this?
team. Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer, my stream of the week, and here's why. Well, he put up 232 yards, followed by 312 yards of passing offense through the air. Did he start? Was he the starter?
No, he was not.
He was not the starter, and he put up 300 yards and 2 touchdowns in a game. He's actually looked good. Arian Foster is back. That's going to help the whole offense move. He also is a great pass catcher. So, I mean, Arian Foster could break one off for 60 and a touchdown. And he's going up against Jacksonville, a great matchup. They've been putting up tons of points, whether both on the ground or through the air. So I think Brian Hoyer is a guy that is clearly available, has a great matchup, has shown so far that he's decent as a quarterback, even though they keep going back to Ryan Mallett, and he has good weapons. You've got Hopkins, who is incredible, and Arian Foster.
So,
both those guys can.
Very simply, look at the other side of the ball in that game. Would you start Bortles? Would you start Hoyer? Because you're saying Hoyer's the stream of the week. Are you saying you'd start him over Bortles?
100%.
Bortles is dealing with a shoulder problem, so we have to see.
You think that is going to affect him very much?
Well, I'm just saying that he has a.
They said he's going to be playing. They already said he's going to be playing. Okay. You just mean it could limit him?
You see what Drew Brees had to, he had a shoulder injury, same thing, but a little bit. When he came back after the week off, every pass he threw was a short little dump off. And that's not to say that, TJ Yeldon can't break something off for Blake Bortles, but I would much rather have Hoyer, who I think is going to be slinging the rock, who has Nuke to throw the ball to. Now, if you disagree, Andy, I smell a nice waterbed here.
What, like a Bortles Hoyer?
A Bortles Hoyer?
No, because I
sure
think
that's a waterbed, or you smell just like a butt?
Yeah, it's a butt bet.
Yeah, it is in Jacksonville. I will say that. And Houston has given up a lot of points this year, but no, I'm not going to take that.
All right.
I'll probably take it tomorrow. All right, that's it for today's show. We got the mailbag show tomorrow. We got Fred Jackson coming on the show, which is exciting. We love Fred Jackson.
We do.
Who doesn't love Fred Jackson?
I don't know.
Nobody. Unless you're ahead of him in the depth chart.
That's what I was waiting for. So be sure to check us out on Twitter at the FF Ballers. If you have a question you want to submit to the show for the mailbag show, you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Click the submit a question button, and you can send us your question. We try to answer as many as we can. We're fresh off of a 8-hour Twitter blitz last week where we answered over 1,000 questions.
Good grief.
Yeah. That's crazy, right? We're nuts. This is insane.
You want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Ride the snake.
Okay. What is that, a random quote moment?
Yeah, we were just throwing out different
Those aren't unrelated
references.
quotes.
If you
If
understand
anybody
the ride
knows
the
them,
snake.
yeah.
Whatever.
All right. See you guys.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.